If you ask my parents, they'd tell you I was a mistake. Not the kind of happy accident people joke about, but an actual unwanted mistake. My name is Deborah. My mother, Karen, was 45 when she found out she was pregnant with me. She thought it was menopause. She wished it was menopause. By the time she saw a doctor, it was too late for any alternative options. She had to have me, but that didn't mean she had to love me. My father, Michael, was no better. A middle manager with no backbone, he went along with whatever my mother decided. And then there was my older sister, Jennifer, who was 14 years. Older than me and had never once treated me like family. From the moment I was born, I was nothing but an inconvenience. My mother barely acknowledged my existence. She was too busy climbing the corporate ladder. My father made empty promises of support, but was always too busy for me. The only people who ever truly cared were my Aunt Rachel and my Grandpa George. But my parents? They never let me forget that I wasn't supposed to exist, and on my 18th birthday they proved it in the cruelest way possible. I spent more time in the hospital than at home when I was born. I was premature, sickly, and fragile. My mother never visited. She had important meetings that she couldn't miss. My father made weak excuses. The only one who showed up every day was Aunt Rachel. She would sit beside my incubator whispering, "You're going to be just fine, little one. You're stronger than you know." When I finally left the hospital, my grandfather George decided that our family home wasn't good enough for 2 children. So, he bought a 5-bedroom mansion in one of the best neighborhoods in Boston. It didn't matter. No amount of wealth could fill the emotional emptiness of that house. I was a ghost in my own home. My mother barely spoke to me unless she was irritated. My father ignored me completely. Jennifer was away at college, but even when she came home for the holidays, she treated me like an annoying stranger. The only person who made me feel loved was Aunt Rachel. Her little painting studio became my safe haven. She let me paint, display my artwork on her walls, and told me I was talented. School became my second refuge. I buried myself in books, joined every club I could, and made sure I was never home more than I had to be. But no matter how much I tried, I couldn't escape the truth. I was unwanted. When I was 12, I overheard my parents arguing late at night. My mother, likely on her 3rd glass of wine, sighed and said, "She's just so demanding, always needing something." I never signed up for this. My father groaned. "What do you want me to do? We can't exactly give her back." I remember lying, in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking, I don't belong here. As I got older, the divide between me and my parents became undeniable. My birthdays were afterthoughts. My accomplishments were dismissed. My presence was tolerated, not wanted. The only person who truly celebrated me was Aunt Rachel. Grandpa George saw what was happening. He secretly started depositing money into a private account for me. Every time he visited, he'd whisper, "Just in case, my love." I didn't understand what he meant until my 18th birthday. That morning, Aunt Rachel made my favorite breakfast, pancakes with strawberries. She gave me a beautiful scrapbook filled with memories of our time together. Grandpa George sent me a new phone with a note. "Keep this handy. Document anything important." I didn't know why. Then I went home. Something felt off. The house smelled like fresh paint. The hallway was eerily quiet. When I opened my bedroom door, my heart dropped. My room was gone. The walls were repainted. My artwork was missing. My bed was replaced with a crib. Teddy bears were scattered everywhere. It wasn't my room anymore. It was a nursery. I turned around to find my parents standing in the doorway. "Oh, you're home," my mother said, as if she hadn't just erased my existence. What happened to my room?" I stammered. My father cleared his throat. "Well, you see, Jennifer is moving back in with her husband, and since they're expecting a baby, we thought this room would be perfect for the nursery." I was speechless. "But where am I supposed to sleep?" My father waved a hand dismissively. "Your things are packed in the garage. You should take them when you leave." Leave? My voice cracked. This is my home. My mother sighed impatiently. Deborah, you're 18 now. It's time to start taking care of yourself. Besides, this is about family, not just you. I am family, I shouted, tears streaming down my face. You're throwing me out on my birthday. My father rolled his eyes. Is it your birthday? Well, that explains the dramatics. I could barely breathe. I was nothing to them. Behind me, my phone was still recording. Grandpa George was watching. Go to Rachel's, his voice came through the speaker. I saw everything. Don't worry, my love. Karma is coming. 3 days later, Jennifer's wedding was a grand affair. My parents wanted the world to see their perfect family. But Grandpa George had other plans. Aunt Rachel and I showed up, uninvited. As my parents paraded around, basking in their social status, Grandpa George took the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, before we celebrate, there's something you should see. The giant screen behind him lit up. The video from my birthday played. My parents' cold dismissal. My father throwing me out. My mother's cruel words, gasps, filled the room. These people, Grandpa George said, threw their daughter out like garbage on her 18th birthday. They don't deserve your respect. Mom's friends walked out. Dad's business partners whispered among themselves. Jennifer's new husband paled. Then Grandpa dropped the final bomb. I'm cutting them off. Every cent of my fortune is going to Rachel and Deborah. Jennifer's husband stood up and said, I need some air. He never came back. 2 weeks later, he filed for divorce. First, my father. His company conducted an internal audit after several major investors withdrew their support, all thanks to Grandpa George. When they dug into my dad's records, they found questionable financial decisions that had cost the company money. They didn't fire him, but they demoted him to a cubicle in the corner of the office, stripping him of all power. The same man who used to bark orders in a glass-walled office now had to share a desk with interns. Then, my mother. Her ruthless business reputation, once an asset, turned into a public relations nightmare. The video of her throwing me out spread through industry circles like wildfire. Clients began canceling contracts, stating they had ethical concerns about working with her. Within a month, she was removed from high-profile projects. Within 2 months, she lost her leadership position. By the end of the 3rd month, she was reporting to someone who had once been her junior associate. My parents, who once bragged about their wealth and success, were now financially crippled. But the real nail in the coffin was Grandpa George's next move. See that mansion they lived in? It wasn't actually theirs. It was owned by one of Grandpa's investment companies. When he removed them from his will, he also served them eviction papers. They had 90 days to vacate. For the first time in their lives, they were completely on their own. No wealth, no status, no home. Meanwhile, Jennifer was trapped. After the wedding disaster, her husband officially filed for divorce, citing fraudulent misrepresentation of family character as his reason. His family, disgusted by what they had seen at the wedding, cut off all support. Jennifer, who had always been pampered, suddenly found herself in a position she never expected, penniless and pregnant. The nursery they stole from me, empty. Her designer maternity wardrobe, replaced by cheap department store clothes, the perfect suburban dream she envisioned, gone. She was stuck in her old childhood bedroom while her life crumbled around her. While their lives fell apart, mine was just beginning. Aunt Rachel officially became my legal guardian. We transformed my new bedroom into a space that truly felt like home. I decorated it with my artwork, and we built a reading nook with fairy. Lights by the window, a little dream I had always wanted. Grandpa George set up a full college fund for me. I was accepted into multiple universities, and I decided to major in psychology with a focus on family trauma therapy. Because if anyone understood what it was like to grow up in a toxic household, it was me. Beyond that, I started volunteering at a youth shelter, helping other teens escape abusive homes. I even launched a blog, sharing my story to connect with others who had been through the same pain. Every day I received messages from people saying, "Your story gave me the courage to leave. I finally see that I deserve better. Thank you for reminding me that I'm not alone." I had spent my whole life feeling invisible. Now my story was helping others find their voices. My parents, realizing they had lost everything, tried one last pathetic attempt to regain control. First, they bombarded my phone with apology messages, long-winded texts about how family sticks together, how they made mistakes, and how I should forgive and forget. When that didn't work, they showed up at Aunt Rachel's house, pounding on the door. When we refused to let them in, they tried sending a lawyer to negotiate. The offer? If I convinced Grandpa George to return there. Inheritance. They would graciously forgive me. I laughed, out loud. Their final act of desperation came in the form of a legal threat. They actually tried to sue me for defamation if I didn't retract my false accusations. Our lawyer? He laughed too. He reminded them that the truth is an absolute defense against defamation. And we had everything on video. That was the last time I heard from them. As I sit here today, reflecting on everything that happened, I've come to a powerful realization. Sometimes, the family you're born into isn't the family you're meant to have. My parents may have given me life, but they never gave me love. That love came from Aunt Rachel, from Grandpa George, from the people who chose me even when my own parents didn't. Today, I have a real home. I have a future. I have freedom. And most importantly, I have peace. To anyone out there who feels trapped in a toxic family, you are not alone. There is hope. There is a way out. And one day, karma will come for the people who hurt you. And trust me, when it does, it will be glorious. Thank you for watching if you haven't subscribed. Yet please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.